Hi guys, welcome to the Infiniti Q50 Red Sport. This is the most potent Infiniti you can get at the moment. You can get the Q60, which is basically a coupe version of this model, and you can get that in Red Sport form as well. But basically this is their high-end performance machine. It's going up against vehicles like the Jaguar XES, the BMW 340i, and the Mercedes AMG C43. I was really excited when I heard about this car coming out, mainly because of the engine. It's a brand new VR30, 3-litre twin-turbo V6. It produces 298 kilowatts and 475 newton meters of torque. That makes it the most powerful engine in this specific class. That's if we, of course, discount the BMW M3 and C63 AMG, which are both outright performance machines, whereas this is focused on luxury and performance. So from the outside, it's basically a Q50. There's just a few telltale signs, such as this black lip spoiler on the back, the little Q50S badge, the Red Sport distinguished by the red S there, and the twin exhausts out the back. There's also some 19-inch alloy wheels hiding some big twin piston front calipers at the front there. But other than that, it looks pretty much like a Q50, so in that respect it's pretty discreet and subtle. So after driving it for a couple of days now, to me it's a bit of a confusing model. On one hand, it's a very high performance machine. On the other hand, it's a very luxurious machine, and it's trying to walk that line of combining the two together. But in some areas it fails, I think, anyway. The first thing I noticed is the wheels and tyres. So they're not staggered. So there's 245 section tyres on the front and 245 section tyres on the rear. To the general motorists, they're not really going to care, but 245 tyres on the rear with 298 kilowatts isn't ideal. You want something a bit fatter on the rear. There's some more confusing sort of elements inside as well. I'll get to those throughout the review. But for now, we'll just start it up and have a listen. So we've got a push button start. So it's got a nice V6 soundtrack, even reminiscent of the old VR engines, so the old 3.7 litre naturally aspirated V6. You can enhance the sound inside via the drive mode toggle. I'll just close the door for you. I'm not sure if you can tell the difference through the GoPro, but it definitely sounds very electronic and fake. It's also a little bit out of sync with the actual throttle movements. They always are out of sync. They're never perfect because they're not real. It's a fake sort of amplifying of the engine. I'm not a fan of that, and I think it ruins the sort of personality of this car. But again, is this an outright sports car, or is this a luxury car? It depends what they're trying to aim for here. But anyway, we'll continue on. So it's pretty luxurious in here. You've got the cream leather seats, perforated for heating, cream carpets. I'm not a fan of cream carpets because they get dirty pretty quickly. This driver's one already has got some marks on it. But yeah, it feels like a luxury machine in here. It definitely has a more luxurious focus than it does sportiness. For the center stack, there's Infiniti's new dual touchscreen system. So at the top you've got sat nav, and in the bottom you've got things for your apps, your climate control, and audio and things like that. The graphics for the lower one here are clearer than the satellite navigation. So they're two different screens, which, I don't know, it can be a little bit sort of off-putting of why they got two different screens there. It's like that's from the 90s and then this is from today. There are a number of buttons around here, so you can quickly jump to certain sections, which is good. So if you just want to turn the climate control fan up, you've got that. You don't have to actually go into climate and then hit the fan. So it's good that they've got those buttons around there. You've also got this little toggle wheel down here for the sat nav, and then your drive mode switches. But it feels pretty high quality in here. Everything's put together very well. There's leather everywhere, and even where there isn't leather, there's sort of soft touch, rubbery sort of plastic. It doesn't feel cheap, that's for sure. You've also got the Bose stereo fitted as standard to this model. The driving position is quite nice as well. You've got electric steering column, so you can find the perfect position. But I like the way the steering wheel is pretty much vertical right to your chest. So a definite nice driving position, making you feel like you're in more control. We'll have a look at the back seats. So it's pretty roomy in here for this segment. The transmission tunnel is pretty high, as they usually are with rear-wheel drives. But legroom is good. Headroom is probably the weakest point. My head's almost touching and I'm pretty short. But again, it feels very luxurious back here. I like the way you are perched up pretty high, so you've got a decent view over the windowsill there. And a general good view all around actually. You've got your own armrest and cup holders. But I wouldn't call this the largest vehicle in the segment. It's up there with the larger vehicles, but it's probably not the largest. That'll probably go to the Audi A4 or something like that. It's certainly got more space than the Lexus IS. But anyway, let's test out that brand new engine, because for me that's the most exciting point of this car. The Infiniti Q50 features a system called direct adaptive steering, and basically what that is a fully electric steering setup. So you might have heard some cars, or most cars on the market these days, have electric assisted steering, but basically they're still using a conventional rack. It's just that the power is coming from an electrical system as opposed to a hydraulic system with a pump hanging off the engine. This is different again. This is completely electric, so there's no actual shaft behind here going to the wheels. Well, there is, but there's a clutch system, a fail-safe clutch system behind that. But in normal conditions, there's nothing connected to the wheels. It's just going straight, sending signals to sensors and to motors, turning the wheels. And Infiniti claims this is more comfortable and relaxing. So if you're driving along a bumpy road, like a cobblestone road or something like that, a normal setup might vibrate the steering wheel like this, whereas in this car it doesn't do anything. It's completely straight. I'll try and find a diagram for you and throw that up now. But that brings about my initial argument. Is this a luxury car or a sports car? So it's a bit bipolar in that respect, because, I don't know, for me, I want to feel everything coming through the wheel. I want to know exactly what the front wheels are doing. I'm more of a driving enthusiast than I'm a journalist, as you can probably tell. But for me, yeah, it's not ideal. I don't like the response of it. Infiniti says that it turns in quicker than a normal setup. So if I turn the steering wheel really quick, it's quicker to respond than a normal setup. But I don't believe that at all, because yeah, I can turn the steering wheel really quickly and it feels lagged, if anything. Like I've turned and then the wheels actually rotate, and that's not what you want in a sports car. A luxury car, maybe, fair enough, you know, it's very relaxing and more calming to drive. But being the Red Sport, I don't know, I think it's trying to be a sports car, but then it's got all this luxurious stuff bolted onto it. When you put it into Sport Plus mode, the steering does become heavier, and it's a bit more twitchy, but there's still a lag there, or some sort of miscommunication. There's at least a communication there. So whereas a direct setup with a shaft going straight to the wheels, there's no communication. What you do is happening to the wheels. There's no sort of waiting for anything to respond. So I don't believe that Infiniti's done the right thing by fitting this setup to this particular model anyway, the Red Sport. So how does it behave as a sports car then? Well, I'll put it into manual mode. You've got these big paddle shifters behind the steering wheel to play with, and a 7-speed sports automatic. It's a conventional automatic, but sports, I suppose they call it. But it's not a dual clutch system or anything like that. It seems pretty good. It changes down when you want it to. The upshifts are pretty quick, although it will up change by itself. If you don't, it won't actually hit the red line or the rev limiter. But let's see how that engine goes. I'll go back to second. So it's got really good response, really strong pickup from low RPM, and plenty of top end power too. Yeah, it definitely goes really nicely. There's a lot of power coming through. It's a beautiful engine, it really is. They should put this engine in more vehicles because it just goes like this. Is third gear, floor it, has no problem picking up and really screaming. You have to jump on the brakes quicker than you think, because it really picks up speed. I haven't timed the 0 to 100 yet, but I'm suspecting low 5 seconds. And traction's pretty good, even though it's got those 245 tyres on it. Traction isn't really an issue, actually. The only issue I do have with traction is the lack of a limited slip differential. So if you have the stability control turned off, it'll spin one wheel quite easily. Let's go around this tight corner and show you. It's wasting that power through the inside wheel, which again, it's telling me that it's not a sports car, it's a luxurious car. It definitely goes really good though, but we'll try it again. So just then it spun the inside wheel and then it upshifted to third by itself, probably because the wheel speed was getting too fast for second gear. But again, see, I want to have control of that. If I'm in a sports car with 300 kilowatts, I want to have control of certain things, especially that. The handling is nice. The suspension is probably going to be a bit too firm for luxury car buyers, but for sports car buyers, it's totally fine. I don't have a problem with it. I'm sure there's a lot of luxury car buyers that are going to have a whinge, but I think it's fine for a 300 kilowatt Red Sport labelled car. I think the suspension is fine, and it does well to soak up bumps too. So when you're coming through a mountain road like this and you're hitting some bumps with a bit of speed, it catches them and doesn't disturb the balance of the car, which is exactly what you want. But yeah, I can't stop flooring the engine. It really does. I know it's a stupid cliche, but it goes like a train. It's just, the more throttle you apply, the faster it goes. It's just totally relentless. Any gear too, it's just, yeah, really nice engine. If you just apply the throttle like you're supposed to, I suppose, just gradually apply it while you're going around the corner, there's no real problem with that open diff. It's just when you start to get a bit enthusiastic or even over enthusiastic. So first impressions, I think the car is a bit confusing. I don't know whether it's a sports car or a luxury car. If it's a luxury car, it's very nice, it's very calm, easy to drive, very swift, and it's got that electronic steering and throttle that makes it less tiresome, I guess. But then the suspension is probably a little bit too firm. If it's a sports car, I think it's missed the mark. It's not as sporty as a Jaguar XES or the C43 AMG, although they are a lot more expensive. Speaking of which, this retails for about $80,000 in Australia before on-road costs. So it's quite cheap for what it is. I mean, Australians get ripped off with luxury cars due to taxes and things, but in the Australian market, I think you do get a lot of value for your money with this Red Sport. But anyway, I'll go into more detail with the written review on the website soon, performancedrive.com.au. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks for watching.